Hey guys, RC here. This is going to be a new FM series. It's not taking the place of anything, so don't freak out. I have enjoyed watching some of the test videos and experiment videos, and I'm not real creative with that kind of stuff. But let me give you a little background on me, and then that will maybe give you some idea why this came to my mind. So I'm 50 years old. Yes, I'm old. For many of you, I'm very old. But I started playing soccer in the United States in 1974. I was 7 years old, and that was the first year that you're able to play. Well, at that time, it was the first year you were able to play youth soccer. And my dad was in the military, he was in the Air Force, and we at that time were living in the western part of the United States. I was living in Las Vegas, Nevada. And soccer at that time was very popular in the western part of the country. So I'm very thankful, although that is not home and I don't have ties to that part of the country any longer. Um, I'm very happy that we lived there because it gave me the opportunity to play a sport that I love to this day. Um, while playing youth soccer in Nevada, Idaho, and then moving into high school soccer in Louisiana when I when my dad retired and we moved there in the 80s. Uh, you know, I ended up playing for three state championships, winning one. We won three district championships in the 3 years that we were in competition, and we went undefeated all three seasons, drawing only one match over the 3 years. I continued my playing career, not getting paid. It was, all amateur, into, post high school, into college, playing in co-ed leagues, adult leagues, um, up into my 30s. Um, Also during that time, my teenage years, from about 14 on, I got into officiating. I was a FIFA licensed official here in the United States. Um, and I worked up to where I was a center official, um, in high school matches, and that's as high as I ever really aspired to be. Never really wanted to get into collegiate or pursue international. And I did officiating for about 15. It was somewhere between 12 and 15 years. I don't remember exactly because that's been a while. But at that point, got out of college, got married, started a family, and that all fell by the wayside as my life developed. But to this day, I love the sport. Uh, I love to watch it. I wish I could still play it, but um, I haven't really run, and I couldn't tell you how many years. Um, you know, I have a very slow, determined walking pace. But anyway, um, in 1977, I had the opportunity to meet Pele, who I consider to this day to be the greatest footballer in the history of the sport. Um, and I know that's debatable, but not only was he to me a great player, he was also a great human being, um, a great ambassador for the sport, And sadly, many of the players that have come since him that have been considered great players are not what I would consider to be ambassadors of the sport. Um, I had maybe 15 minutes with him, and that 15 minutes has impacted my entire life. Just with the way he treated me as a person, even though I was a young kid. Um, the way he treated me with respect, with dignity, giving me my time and my due, even over, adults that were dressed in fancy clothes and evidently had wealth and influence. That didn't matter to him. I was a footballer, as was he, and we connected at that level. And he gave me 15 minutes of his life that he didn't have to give to me. So that made an impact on me. And so anyway, long story short, I had been thinking about uh, back at that time, at that juncture of history with the sport in America. And I'm only talking about America because I'm very, I know football is a passion worldwide. In America, it's at best the fourth or fifth most important sport in our country. Um, but in the late 70s, when Pele came and was playing for the New York Cosmos, Giorgio Chinaglia played for them, Franz Beckenbauer. They had a very well-known team. Eusebio, called the Prince of Soccer, was also playing. He played for the hometown Las Vegas Quicksilvers. The last year that I was there was their first year in the North American Soccer League. So we got to see these world-class players, albeit right at the end of their careers. In fact, that 77 season that I saw Pele play and met him was his last year as a player. Um, but soccer was very popular with the youth, and the thought was that in the next decade, soccer would explode in popularity due to all these young kids playing the sport. Unfortunately, that did not happen. The North American Soccer League continued on for a while. We had some American players like Kyle Rote Jr., who were very good, but just not international class. And soccer never became in America what it is to the rest of the world, not even close. Um, and honestly, Americans, while we're passionate about our sports, we do not have the fanaticism. And I use that term loosely, so don't get offended. But one of the reasons I never aspired to become an international FIFA official was the stories that we saw as officials and as Americans from around the world of fans coming out of the stands and assaulting officials, chasing officials across the pitch. And we weren't talking about little league games. We were talking about premier side games. Very to us uncalled for, and just very brutal. So I think that those kind of behaviors kind of scared America off too. I could be wrong on that, but I think that scared Americans away from embracing the game. But anyway, we've gone through probably 3 or 4 phases since the 70s where soccer was supposed to be the next big sport. And, we still have our pro football, collegiate football, baseball, basketball has risen dramatically. The start and the rise of the UFC, boxing, although that has fallen off dramatically in the last 10 to 20 years, is still very popular. And but there's been several points in time that soccer was supposed to take that next step here in the States. And for whatever reason, it never did. Now, I have my own thoughts on that, and basically they revolve around the fact that while the top players in the world make a fortune playing the game of football or soccer, um, the American sports, football and basketball, pay just as well, if not better, baseball, and they are more accessible to American youth, and they've become more accessible to players from around the world that have decided to pursue those sports. And the difference is, in most other countries, England and the European countries, you don't have football leagues. And I understand that there are startup leagues, but they're not nationalized professional leagues like you have with the Premiership and the Spanish and German first divisions and things of that nature. You don't have comparables in other sports for the most part. And so your best athletes in other parts of the world, and when I say your, I'm talking about other parts of the world, those players, your best athletes, go into soccer because that is their best avenue to attain a position in the world of athletics that they can make a good living at. In the United States, it's completely reversed. They can go into football and baseball and basketball, and they can make life-changing earnings, in a short period of time. I mean, when you think about it, we have, our top basketball players are making 20 to 25 million dollars a year. And even an average, the lowest salary you can make in baseball, I think, and I'm probably wrong on this, but I think it's actually currently in the 235 to $250,000 a year range, and that's if you're the worst player on the team that makes it to the major leagues. Now, in the minor leagues, you don't make anything. But anyway, long story short, that's kind of my background with the sport, my thinking on the sport. And in watching some of these experimental videos, I got the idea to do one of my own. And I think one of the things that has always been talked about is all the great players that we've ever had in the States have typically been foreign born. Pele, Eusebio, Chinalia, even more recently, David Beckham when he came over to the LA Galaxy. We've had our guys, Landon Donovan and Josie Altidore and what have you, but our best players have been women. And I think that goes back to my thinking process on why our American men's team has suffered, because women have not had other sports to go into, with the exception of basketball, which that was a very recent development in and of itself. So women were going into soccer because they were the ones also playing it as children in the youth organizations, and they continued to play it as they grew up into college and then going into a professional league. That was really one of their only outlets, unlike for men. So what I wanted to do this experiment where I went in with the editor. I just installed the editor today because I've been thinking about this for a while, and I said, well, let's go ahead and do it. So I have created myself. No modesty whatsoever, because I was not that good. I was just an average player at best. And so I'm not going to lie to you about that. I started most years. I could play just about every position. I've played keeper, I've played striker, and I've played every position in between on the pitch. But I live in Texas currently, so I found this guy on the Texas Rush. I've edited his name, and he is 16 years old. So I went in and I found the youngest American players, and I wanted a midfielder, because I wanted him to be kind of a lot of experiments. You put them up front so they score a lot of goals. I wanted him to be more of a Carlos Valderrama type player, a facilitator that could also score, but someone kind of right in the middle, linking the defense with the offense and being a facilitator. So that's what I have created. He plays for a developmental team, the Texas Rush. They are a semi-professional team. We do not have academies and stuff. There's a few that have started up in recent history, but the Woodlands is just north of Houston, which is where I live. So this is a young player that's close to where I live. And I went in and I edited him, not to be the best player, but I did edit him to be very good. So if we go to him, he is their key player now. And we don't have his stats, which is fine, but we can go in and I'll show you what I've done. Current ability, I've put at 86 because that's what they recommended. I put potential at 165. Again, I did not want him to be the best player in the world. In fact, I'm gonna change that to 172. Is that going to save? I may not have the editor open. Yeah, it's saved. Okay. So 172. So he's going to be good. Is he going to be great? Maybe, maybe not. And I think that's what you get with any kid, no matter how talented they might be on the surface. They've got to develop that talent. So I've put his national reputation at 910, which is what it defaulted. Worldwide, nobody knows about him. All right, sorry about that. Adaptability, I wanted him to be adaptable to go to other countries. Ambition is high but not cutthroat. Loyalty is middle of the road. A little loyal because I just picture, being loyal to the team, but if something better comes along, you'll go for it. Handling pressure really well. Professionalism is above average. So you can see all the numbers here. 5'11", 136 pounds. Yeah, that's not me for sure. Mostly a central midfielder, but I can play other midfield positions, primarily right foot. And I say me, it's not me, but primarily right foot. Can use the left a little bit. We've got some traits. Plays short, simple passes because I wanted him to be the, that facilitator, ball handler, maintaining possession. Places shots, plays 1-2s. I like that give and go. Refrains from taking long shots. I didn't want him just plinking from range. So we have him getting forward. He is aggressive from the mid. Curls balls, bend it like Beckham. And that's pretty much it there. I can, let's see, languages, personal details, no favorite people, no disliked people. Favorite club, Leeds, 85 out of 100, just a supporter. I guess I need to change that. There we go. Dislike clubs, Man United, 65, Galatasaray, 100. So he'll never play there. And if you're a Leeds fan or know about Leeds and Galatasaray, you'll know why. And English, American, of course, can speak that fluently. And French, just a little bit, but can't speak it. And that's it. So we've gone in, I've set up the major leagues. We've got the U.S., the Mexican top division, and then the primary European leagues: England, France, Italy, Spain, Belgium, Portugal, and Holland, and we've got basically their second divisions and higher. So anyway, the goal is just to see how well he can develop and what he can do for American soccer, because the hope is he can get some caps for the American team, see if he can lift up the U.S. men's national team in World Cup action, in Cup action, and see how good he can be moving across the pond and getting into Europe potentially. Or maybe if he ends up with a U.S. team in MLS, maybe he's good enough to bring over some some European players that want to play with him, so some big strikers or whatever that want him feeding them the ball. We'll see. I just don't know where it's going to go, but we'll just consider this the next great American hope, and see where he can lead us to, or where he ends up in his development. I'm not sure. I want this to go kind of be a little in depth. I want us to look at some of his games. So what I might do is do a season per episode, or half a season, and maybe do one match in there just to watch him actually play, and then so we'll see maybe 2 matches a season. And then we'll get to the midpoint. We'll do a midpoint review with 1 match. We'll do an end of season review with 1 match. And so, basically 2 videos per season is kind of what I'm thinking. And then you guys kind of give me some feedback. Do you want to see more matches with him playing? I'm not going to control anything. I'm not going to be calling anything. I'm not even sure we can watch matches. I'm not even sure if we can watch matches because I'm not managing the club. I guess I'm going to have to go research that real quick. But that's kind of what I'd like to do. If we can't do that, then we may come back still and do a mid-season and end-of-season review. And if we can maybe look at his game reports, maybe we can actually get into some highlights from some of the games. Anyway, we'll see. We'll just play that by ear, but I kind of wanted to let you guys know what I was thinking about and where I was coming from with this exercise. So if you've made it through the whole video listening to me ramble about my youth and whatever, I appreciate it. And I hope you guys are looking forward to this. Like I said, it's something new for me. I have not done this, so we'll give it a shot. Thanks, guys. Take care, and we will see you later. Bye.